Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys about the Winkerhau. Okay, this is a cut shown in the Kushner's Messer fighting system. But before we get into that actual cut, let's talk about the Messer. Okay, basically the Messer, as you guys would recognize, is basically a machete. Okay, and I believe Messer translates into big knife. And the reason why people used this knife, okay, is because during the medieval times, the nobility, which was the ruling class, had instituted sword control. Okay, so basically the ruling class did not want the common people having, owning and carrying swords because they wanted to make sure they always had an advantage over them so that they could, rule them. So as a result, basically, and a workaround, basically people came up with the Messer, which basically, it's basically a short sword. It's probably about the size of a Greek hoplite sword or a Roman gladius. So it's very, very effective. Okay. So the strike that I want to talk about is the Winkerhau, and in the German manuals, it's basically showing the guy hand behind the back, and he's cutting like this. This is the position that you see. Okay, elbow up. Actually, elbow even slightly. I mean, because of the angle of this, I had to. There we go. That's a better angle. Elbow slightly up, point down, and let me do it here so you can see it. So from this position here, that's the cut that we see. Elbow up, blade down, striking with the back edge. Okay, and what we'll normally see is that the blade is striking the back edge like that, and then the tip is basically going into somebody's head. Now, a question might become is, what good is it striking with the back edge of the sword? Because on the Messer, basically you have the long edge, right? That would be sharp, and then you have the short edge where maybe only the tip would be sharpened. But how about the spine of this of the sword? Is that any good for hitting things? Well, over here I have a piece of wood, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this with the back edge. And there's a nice deep cut right there. Okay, you can see how deep it's biting. Okay, it's biting into the wood, and you can see the splinters coming out. So concentrating all that force, on that narrow blade is pretty effective. It'll do the job. Now these techniques were obviously, they were copied over from sword techniques. It's not like people said, okay, here we go, we got this big knife, how are we going to use it? Let's invent a new system. That's not likely what happened. What they did is they adopted, sword techniques to the Messer. Okay, so now let's talk about ways that I use it when I'm fighting with a shield. Okay, usually, I'll put this down. Usually, when I'm fighting with the shield, with the sword and the regular shield, when I use this is to get around somebody's shield. Let me put this down for a second, and I'm going to set up a second shield, a much more cheaper one that I use for demonstration purposes sometimes. All right, so we put that there. All right, so picture me. I'm standing like this. I got my shield here. That corner's protecting my head. I'm looking around that corner. Okay, and I'm in an A-frame over here. All right. So basically, the shield is protecting my hand. And from here, basically, I launch my cuts. Okay. Well, if you have a similar shield, right? Right. Let's say I'm fighting somebody. They've got their shield there. We're here. We both got corners up. Using this cut that we call a wrap. Right. What I'll do is I'll throw the sword around, and you can see how it gets around that tip, the tip of that shield, and it comes around. Now, if we match up the corners, obviously that corner is a lot higher than my corner, based on where this is. This would have to be a very tall person, and I can still get in there. There you go. I think that's a better position. This is somebody more my height, so the corners now match up. All right. So as we're fighting, so usually I'll throw some type of a distraction, right? Because you got, basically, if I bring it there, that'll get their defense to move a little bit that side. Then I'll come back around, and boom, that'll go over the corner, or I'll step around. Right, so you see how that works. Because if I throw this with the true edge, okay, that was going to have a hard time getting past that shield edge. But if I turn my elbow up and point the sword down, okay, now you can see how I've gotten past the shield and I'm actually hitting them in the back of the head or the side of the head, okay? So that's the Winkerhau, and that's how I use it with the shield. You know, so, and like I said, these techniques that we see with the messer, let me put this down. You know, what the messer technique, like I said earlier, would have been adopted from sword fighting systems, okay? And basically they would have, you know, because they would have seen people using swords. It doesn't take, you know, if you see somebody using a sword or a gun or any weapon, you can kind of see what they're doing. Now, you may not be able to replicate that easy, but you have an idea of what they're doing. And then with practice, you can kind of figure out how to do it yourself, okay? So I believe that that's how messer fighting developed. They saw, you know, knights and men-at-arms using swords, and they probably saw them throwing this cut over here with their shield, and then in their, you know, when they were fighting with the messer, you know, they adopted it to fighting with a slightly shorter sword, okay? So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions or comments, please post them. I'll talk to you guys next time.